Homestead. Today I want to talk about seeds and planting a garden. In our first video, I talked about some of the things we need to consider in being a small homesteader. Regardless of the size, we still want to plan what we're doing, because the whole point of self-sufficiency is being able to have a repeatable process and be able to have success. So the first step is understanding what you have. So if you've got a new place and you haven't laid it out yet, you kind of want to lay out your property and say, where am I going to do what? Where am I going to have animals? Where am I going to have a garden? Where am I going to have, a greenhouse? Whatever it's going to be. So I went through laying out, first I had my plat, and then I laid out my property based on the odd shape of my lot. And I have 1.5 acres. And I said in the first video, I kind of dabbled in the garden, but I haven't really taken it seriously. But now that the animals are set up and humming along and things are going smoothly, I really want to focus this year on the garden. The first thing I did was lay out a map of my planting areas. And that gave me my spaces, what's my total square footage, and it's, of all the beds, it's going to be about 150 square feet, so it's not huge. From there, I then said, now I know how big my space is, what seeds do I have? So the next step for me was to catalog my seeds and make sure I knew what I had. So let me show you how I did that. So I started by rounding up all my seeds. So what I did was I cataloged them, and I started with a bin. I got this seed thing from Tractor Supply a couple of years ago. I made labels and I cataloged them all. And so I got my piles in order, so I knew what I had. And I was actually surprised at what I was missing. Cilantro is my favorite thing, and I was out of cilantro seeds. But anyway, so I got them all cataloged. So that's one of the first things you want to do. Take an inventory of your seeds, but get them cataloged and together in some sort of organization. So that's the first thing after you've defined your garden space. I took the seeds and I said, what do I want to plant? So I went through each one, and I cataloged, I pulled out the ones I wanted, and let me show you. So I collected a notebook, and this isn't the way to do it because the seeds are too thick, but I did one in each of the categories that I had in my file box, I did a folder. And what I do with the folder is then organize what I want to plant this year. Anything I wanted to plant sometime this year, I stuck in its page. And then, so I've got all my other seeds back, are still in the case. And I may or may not use them, but they'll be there for next year. This was, to me, the best way to get them kind of grouped in what am I doing this year. For each one, in the envelope, I've got just a bunch of seeds. And I pick which ones I'm gonna plant. I pull those out, and I actually copied the seed packages. On the back of the seed package is a lot of important information, and then as I'm planting or selling a seedling to someone and they want to know the information, I'll have it without having to go look for the seed packet. So I'll have a little catalog of what I planted. So I did this for each one, and so I have the tomatoes, the cucumber, the pepper. I have zucchini separate because there are so many varieties. Culinary herbs, medicinal herbs, leafy greens, sturdier greens. Then I have chives, radishes, onions, etc. So the next thing I did, based on the back of the seed package, all the seeds that I had in these envelopes, I went ahead and did a seed sowing schedule. It's the plant, the indoor sowing date, how many days to germination, hardening off date, a direct sow date or a transplant date, depending on what you're doing, and a fall sowing date. So you can even mark what you want to be doing in the fall. And for each one of these, I did that, and I picked 4 weeks, 6 weeks, or 8 weeks before the last frost. So the first round was February 20th. So all those, as I planted them, as I did the starts, I went ahead and marked it off. And then I just keep doing that. It just moves out from there. And then some of them I'm going to be direct sowing on the 20th of March, and some I'm going to be starting on the 20th of March. You know, it goes on from there. But at least you have a record, and then I look and say, what's the next date I have coming up? And what am I going to be doing? So I can be getting ready. And for me, that just made it a lot easier to keep track of all the stuff I've said I wanted to do, and put it onto one sheet where I can say, here's what I'm doing next, rather than stare at this notebook of seeds and get overwhelmed. So that was, now something to consider when you're doing seeds. Some are better direct sown. They don't transplant well. Some, it doesn't matter. And some need heat, some need light when they're germinating. And you know, there's a couple of nuances, but it's pretty straightforward. Now the next thing I did was I took my garden map, my simple one that doesn't have any information other than the beds, and I put detail in it. Where am I planting what? Where are the perennials that are going to return? What am I putting where? And I divided mine, like my big bed, I divided, half of it's got some perennials in it, so I'm just going to keep perennials going on that half. And on the other half, I kind of divided up into 8 sections, sort of like square foot gardening, just kind of zones. And where am I putting trellises? Where am I putting the vining plants? And what am I putting in front of them? Where are the tomatoes going? So you get it all laid out. And I even did up on the porch, I do a lot of pots and stuff, and I even did that. So I've got random pots in here. I also have, I've talked to you before about my tower garden. I have 3 tower gardens, and there's 20 slots in each tower garden. And if you do succession planting in the garden, it will be the equivalent of 1/3 of an acre. So it's very prolific. It's really great for leafy greens, for the sturdier greens, for different plants. I grow celery in it. I grow celery, I grow green onion, I grow all kinds of things in it. So what I did was I laid out a garden plan for that too, where each one of the tower gardens, I've listed the 20 slots, and I say, what am I putting in them? So we've laid out our garden, and now we know where we're going. So then from here, I've been spending this last week building, I had bought 4 new raised beds, building those, getting dirt in. It's a mess right now, but it will be, as soon as I need to put down mulch on the beds, and also I need to kind of mulch the area to make it walkable, where you're not walking in wet clay and stuff. I still have to build 2, in the back corner I'm going to build a bed, and it's going to be ornamental elephant ear plants in the back. They're very tall, and then in front of that I'm going to put some shade-loving medicinal herbs in there. And then I've got a dogwood tree that I kept in the area, and I've got a mountain laurel, small mountain laurel that has sprung up, so I'm putting a bed around those. And I just finished my little compost area, so it's a work in process, and it's kind of messy right now, but it will come together. And so that's my big project for this year. But it really helped having the garden plan, so I can say it's already changing, but at least you have an idea, and you kind of know how the volume you can do. I'm pretty excited. I'm looking forward to it, and I will keep you up to date with the progress of the garden and the tower gardens and everything else. And I have a kitchen garden too that the chickens just destroyed. So I I'm gonna have to fence that off. So that's the next thing I got to work on, and I didn't show you that because it doesn't have any information in it. So that's another one that's in work. And then today I was yesterday I got 2 yards of dirt. It's mushroom compost and garden soil mixed together, and I had to hire I had my helper come out, and then I hired a 16-year-old boy from up the hill to do the heavy work, because we had to put it in the driveway, and then we have to bring it around behind the garage and into the garden area. So he was my heavy lifter on that. So I've been working that, and like I say, I finished my compost thing today. I refreshed some pots today. I did a lot of little, so I'm trying to get a lot of the little stuff done so that I can be ready. And I still have to build those two, the dogwood garden and the back corner garden, and I need him still to move some more dirt, because I just can't do it. I've talked to you about being 70 years old, and at the end of the day my back hurts. I just don't want to do it. I would rather pay him to do it, because once it's in there, it's done. But anyway, that's where I am on this, and I just want to give you kind of an idea of how I plan from big picture down to detail. And it's a good way to, number one, know what seeds you have, and number two, know how you're going to use them. So if you have any questions, leave comments down below, and let me know how you're organizing your garden. So anyway, this is life on the farm, and I've got a couple things going on. I have baby rabbits due on Tuesday, so I'm excited about that. And I've got 22 eggs in the incubator. I did a short on that, and I've got 3 of my neighbor's duck eggs in there, and I've got 19 chicken eggs. So it's kind of neat. Spring is just neat. There's just so much stuff going on. So, in this, you get in the doldrums in February, it's nice to have things to look forward to. So leave a comment and let me know what you're doing. Let me know what questions you have. And I will leave some links for some of the places where I've gotten seeds and where I got my raised beds and things like that, in case you're interested. And I need you to like, subscribe, and share, so it helps the algorithm, keeps me busy, keeps me talking. And enjoy your day, your week. Enjoy this spring weather until it isn't. And hopefully we'll get through this and get into spring and have all kinds of stuff going on. So thanks for being with me today at She Can Homestead.